Welcome to the channel, where today we plunge into a tale so bizarre, so mysterious, and so mind-bending that it could rewrite everything you thought you knew about American coinage, because what if a small mistake, barely visible to the naked eye, turned a humble 1992 quarter dollar into one of the most valuable coins ever struck in U.S. history, a coin so rare that its very existence remains shrouded in legend, numismatic obsession, and whispers among elite collectors. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that appears so ordinary at first glance, just another worn piece of pocket change, but in reality, it could be worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, perhaps more than the average home, all due to a fleeting error at the Philadelphia Mint in a year that was supposed to be numismatically unremarkable, until a chilling anomaly changed everything. Picture a mint worker, unaware of the chaos they were about to unleash, grabbing the wrong die, or misaligning a planchet, or activating a press a fraction of a second too soon or too late, setting off a chain of consequences that created a microfraction of coins that carry inconsistencies so subtle they elude even seasoned eyes, double dies, off-center strikes, weak cladding layers, misplaced mint marks, or the ever-elusive transitional planchets that were never meant to be paired with that year's design. And now collectors speculate that fewer than a dozen, maybe even fewer than 5, of these flawed quarters exist, each one a ghost in the machine, surfacing sporadically only to vanish again into private vaults or remain undetected in circulation, tossed between soda machines and laundromats, invisible to everyone but the most obsessed eyes. And the story doesn't end there, because behind this coin lies a storm of conspiracy theories, with some claiming that an internal cover-up at the mint was designed to suppress knowledge of the 1992 variant due to its violation of production protocols, with rumors swirling that a rogue employee may have intentionally produced a handful of these oddities and smuggled them into circulation before mysteriously disappearing, while others point to the turbulent economy of the early 90s as a pressure point that forced the mint to recycle outdated planchets from earlier years, accidentally creating composition mismatches that passed unnoticed in quality control, a failure that now haunts the pages of numismatic journals and drives deep-pocketed collectors into bidding wars whenever even the faintest whisper of a 1992 anomaly emerges at auction, like that one notorious incident in 2017 where a seemingly unremarkable quarter sold privately for a rumored six-figure sum, the details of which were sealed in a confidential agreement between the buyer and seller, but not before the numismatic world exploded in a frenzy of speculation, blog posts, and YouTube deep dives trying to piece together what could possibly make this coin so astonishingly desirable. And then came the experts, die variety analysts, metallurgists, retired mint employees, each offering their theories, dissecting microscopic differences in weight, diameter, reading patterns, and die states, pointing out inconsistencies in the copper-nickel sandwiching, speculating about mismatched dies or experimental runs that were supposed to be destroyed but somehow escaped into the wild, all while the trail leads deeper into a maze of half-truths, rumors, and unbelievable coincidences, such as a mysterious collector in Ohio who claims to own not one but two of these elusive coins, yet refuses to allow any third-party grading service to authenticate them, feeding suspicions that these rarities might never see the light of a public auction block, only to be passed down like forbidden relics through generations of secretive families, while online forums buzz with cryptic messages, GPS coordinates, and blurry photos hinting at more examples hidden in plain sight, maybe even in your own change jar at home. And as we dig through archival records, we find even more unsettling twists, like internal memos from the mint in 1992 referencing material shortages and die test anomalies that were never meant to reach the public, with entire batches of experimental strikes reportedly sent for destruction. Batches that some now believe were never fully accounted for, and may have partially escaped into circulation under the guise of normalcy, coins that look like every other quarter but behave differently under scrutiny, weighing a fraction too much, or not enough, exhibiting strange electromagnetic signatures or unusual surface luster under UV light, leaving even metal detection hobbyists baffled when their machines go haywire. And it gets darker, because coin dealers have started receiving anonymous packages, unmarked envelopes containing 1992 quarters with cryptic notes referencing Project Reverse 70 or Minted Error 13, leading some to speculate that these aren't just accidents but part of a deliberate operation, maybe a protest by a disgruntled employee, maybe an experiment in economic sabotage, or maybe something far more secretive involving rare metal procurement, Federal Reserves, or covert Cold War-era minting programs that didn't fully terminate until years after they were supposed to. Threads that all connect to the eerie enigma of this one seemingly mundane coin from 1992 bearing the Philadelphia mint mark, which now exists in a liminal space between myth and miracle, and as more stories surface, like the janitor who stumbled across an uncut sheet of 1992 P-quarters in a forgotten back room of a decommissioned mint facility, only to have it confiscated by federal agents within hours, or the estate sale in rural Kentucky where a jar of old quarters, mostly junk, contained one coin so perfectly flawed that 3 grading services disputed its category before labeling it simply unclassified error. Mint origin unconfirmed, the hysteria only grows, dragging deeper into obsession those who once viewed coin collecting as a casual hobby, now turned into codebreakers and treasure hunters chasing whispers across dusty archives, combing through forgotten storage units, interrogating former mint contractors, some of whom won't speak without anonymity for fear of losing their pensions or, they suggest ominously, something far more important, while online auctions begin to vanish mid-bid when keywords like 1992 P transitional error are used, prompting theories of algorithmic suppression or manipulation by institutional collectors trying to corner the market and prevent a price collapse or a flood of fakes. Yes, because now the counterfeiters are here too, creating near-perfect replicas using AI-enhanced engraving tools and high-pressure presses in off-the-grid facilities. So advanced they've fooled even respected dealers, leaving only trace clues like an imperceptible dye polishing mark or slightly incorrect font spacing, which has turned the market into a paranoid guessing game, where even seasoned numismatists second-guess their instincts and the only sure way to verify authenticity is through high-resolution metallurgical scans not available to the public, and this has made real 1992 P errors almost priceless, their authenticity vouched for only by secret networks of collectors who trust no one but each other, like a clandestine society of treasure hunters chasing a ghost across decades. And yet, as new theories emerge every year, from secret Kennedy-era minting plans to recycled space shuttle metals allegedly used in experimental planchets, the mystique only deepens, until now, in 2025, we find ourselves at the cusp of another possible revelation. Because recent Freedom of Information Act filings have uncovered new internal mint documents that suggest something shocking, that a specific subset of 1992 P quarters were minted using leftover 1990 dies paired with experimental planchets intended for a discontinued satellite token program, which would explain the strange weight discrepancies and subtle reverse anomalies spotted on high-resolution scans. But if true, it would also mean these coins were never supposed to exist at all, making their presence in the wild not just a mistake but a monumental breach in protocol, one that could turn any 1992 P quarter in circulation into a potential 6-figure payday, provided it holds the right secrets, the right scars, the right silent witnesses to a production nightmare buried for decades. And with this possibility now alive again, the hunt reignites with renewed fury, as collectors everywhere dig through drawers, flea markets, and online listings, desperate for a glimpse of that elusive flaw, that microscopic misstep that might signal the find of a lifetime, because in the shadowy world of rare coins, value is measured not just in rarity or condition, but in story, mystery, and madness, and the 1992 P quarter dollar may be the greatest American coin story never fully told, until now. So if you're still watching, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned, because somewhere out there, maybe even in your own pocket, the next $1 million mistake is waiting to be discovered. Next, 1983 P quarter dollars, where today we unlock a mystery so electrifying and steeped in numismatic legend that it might forever change the way you look at your pocket change. What if a small mistake made during one quiet day at the US Mint in 1983 resulted in the most valuable coin ever struck, a 1983 P quarter dollar so rare, so elusive, and so riddled with strange inconsistencies that it continues to baffle experts, drive collectors to obsession, and stir whispers of government cover-ups, lost archives, and once-in-a-lifetime discoveries? Imagine, for a moment, that one simple coin, one quarter meant for lunch money or a vending machine, somehow escaped the mundane fate of billions of others and instead became a riddle wrapped in copper nickel and cloaked in silence, a coin minted in Philadelphia, bearing the iconic P but surrounded by an aura of mystery so intense that entire auction houses have been shaken by its sudden appearances and astronomically high sale prices, pushing well past tens of thousands and inching toward the unimaginable. But why? What makes the 1983 P quarter such a staggering enigma, and what secrets lie beneath its unassuming surface? It begins with a storm of unusual events in 1983, a year marred by economic tension, political uncertainty, and abrupt changes in minting processes that were meant to be temporary, like the decision to halt the production of mint sets due to budget constraints, an act that would inadvertently shroud all 1983 coins in a veil of scarcity. But it's the quarters from Philadelphia that would come to carry the heaviest weight of mystery, especially those that exhibit signs of severe die deterioration. Doubled dies, off-center strikes, missing clad layers, and other oddities that shouldn't have slipped past quality control yet somehow did, and did so in a volume small enough to remain virtually unknown to the general public, yet substantial enough to become the holy grail of modern American coinage among elite collectors. Some say the 1983 P quarter shouldn't even exist in certain conditions, like those struck on planchets missing their clad layers, exposing their pure copper cores, or those with extreme strike-through errors or full reverse doubling that make Washington's eagle appear like a ghostly twin. These anomalies raise questions not just about accident but about intention. Were these errors mere oversights by mint employees, or could there have been experimental runs, insider trades, or even covert coin releases not logged officially, hidden within the bureaucratic folds of mint records lost, destroyed, or buried deep in forgotten archives? Fueling the fire is the fact that in 1983, with no official mint sets issued, the public had no pristine, uncirculated examples from which to cherry-pick rare varieties. Every coin had to be found in circulation, meaning the odds of discovering one in high grade or with a mint error were astronomically slim, and yet, stories began to surface, first whispered at coin shows, then published in obscure numismatic journals, of a few high-grade 1983 P quarters with razor-sharp details, perfect luster, and wild errors that defied standard classifications, like one known specimen graded MS-65 with a dramatic reverse strike-through that sold at auction for over $15,000, leaving collectors stunned and skeptical. Was it real, was it planted, or was it simply the tip of a much larger, hidden iceberg? Then came the collectors who devoted decades, yes, decades, to hunting down every 1983 P quarter they could find, documenting die cracks, misalignments, and wear patterns, trying to build a map of minting inconsistencies that might point to the origin of the rarest examples. One man even claiming to have discovered a pattern of reverse hubbing anomalies that suggested an alternate die design may have briefly been used before being quickly retired and covered up, perhaps accidentally used in a limited batch or possibly as part of a secret test run for new technology, a theory that, while unproven, is supported by at least two known specimens exhibiting reverses with differing feather and talon spacing than any standard 1983 strike, prompting some to speculate that these coins are, in fact, the remnants of an abandoned or hidden minting project, perhaps linked to experimental metallurgy or the unconfirmed Type II reverse that some claim existed but was never officially acknowledged. Meanwhile, retired mint workers from the early 1980s, speaking on condition of anonymity, have hinted at unusual orders during that time, presses running overnight, coins being rebagged without explanation, and internal audits that went missing, all feeding a shadowy narrative that elevates the 1983 P quarter beyond ordinary error coins and into the realm of modern treasure. A living puzzle etched in metal, still unsolved and still out there. And what if, just imagine, one of these ultra-rare variants lies forgotten in a desk drawer, inside a childhood coin jar, or lodged beneath the seat of a long-sold car, waiting to be discovered by a viewer like you, who now knows what to look for: the subtle doubling on the motto, "In God We Trust," the telltale ghosting on the eagle's wings, the off-color tone that hints at a missing clad layer, or the ultra-crisp detail that suggests it never touched circulation at all, despite the lack of mint sets, possibly a coin smuggled from a press operator's stash or saved intentionally by a mint insider, adding fuel to theories of inside knowledge, under-the-table trades, and black market exchanges that took place decades ago and left no digital trail, only the surviving coins themselves, each one a silent witness to the untold story of the 1983 P quarter, its value not just monetary, but historical, conspiratorial, and personal. Because finding one doesn't just mean uncovering a rare coin, it means becoming part of a story that has resisted closure for over 40 years, a story that continues to evolve with every discovery, every theory, every collector's heartbreak and triumph, and every whispered rumor that yet another extraordinary specimen has surfaced, this time with a previously undocumented die break that splits Washington's head like a fracture in time, or a complete minting anomaly that defies known processes. Like a double denomination strike that places a ghostly dime beneath the quarter's surface, pushing the coin's value into six-figure territory and further deepening the mystery. So the question remains, is the 1983 P quarter the result of a perfect storm of chaos and oversight, or is it a breadcrumb left behind by a hidden hand, a message encoded in metal for those brave enough to follow the trail? As you sift through your change, scan the backs of old drawers, or recall that jar of coins left to you by a relative, ask yourself, could you be holding history's most elusive treasure, a piece of numismatic legend hiding in plain sight, waiting for its moment to re-emerge? Because until every last 1983 P quarter is examined, until every anomaly is catalogued and every theory explored, the mystery remains alive, pulsing beneath the surface of American coinage, pulling in historians, collectors, and dreamers alike into its orbit. And if you found this journey as thrilling and mysterious as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Because we're just getting started, and the next hidden treasure might already be in your hands. Next, 1988 quarter dollars USA coins, where today we dive deep into the thrilling enigma of a single coin that could redefine the meaning of value, obsession, and historical mystery. What if a small mistake made it the most valuable coin ever struck? A silent anomaly born in the heart of the U.S. Mint that would one day spark a treasure hunt so fierce it borders on the legendary. We're talking about the 1988 P quarter dollar, a coin that to the untrained eye looks ordinary, common, even, but to those who know, those who obsess over every ridge, strike, and mint mark, this seemingly mundane piece of metal has become the epicenter of one of the most dramatic and mysterious coin stories in modern history, and it all begins with a whisper of error, a sliver of metal, and a decision made decades ago that would leave a trail of clues, conspiracies, and fortunes scattered across time. But what exactly happened in 1988? Why does this Philadelphia minted quarter stir up such fervor among collectors, dealers, historians, and even former mint employees? Could it be that a rare double strike, an off-center press, or a misaligned die created an error so extraordinary that only a few escaped destruction, vanishing into circulation before anyone noticed? Or was there a more sinister explanation, perhaps an unauthorized test strike, or a clandestine alteration by a rogue mint worker aiming to leave behind a legacy, or worse, an inside job covered up at the highest levels of the mint's internal chain of command? As we unravel the labyrinthine trail of theories, we'll uncover stories of collectors who stumbled upon this coin in pocket change and had no idea they were holding a potential six-figure treasure, stories of dealers who recognized the anomaly instantly and rushed to authenticate it before the competition got wind, stories of auctions that sparked bidding wars so intense they ended in security escorts and threats of litigation, all over a coin that weighs just 5.67 grams yet carries the weight of a mystery decades in the making. Consider the intricate history behind the U.S. Mint's production process in the late 1980s, a time of transition and vulnerability as new machinery, dies, and quality control systems were implemented, often hurriedly, leading to a short but critical window of opportunity for minting mistakes to occur unchecked, and in that small window, the 1988 P quarter was born. But what kind of errors are we truly talking about here? We're not referring to a mere die chip or a clipped planchet. These 1988 P quarters exhibit signs of severe doubling on the obverse, subtle die polishing lines that suggest manipulation, edge anomalies that hint at multi-strike attempts, and some even claim to have found pieces with reversed dies from different years entirely, suggesting a mule coin so rare it borders on myth. And then there's the issue of provenance. Why do no official mint records document these mistakes? Why are some coins discovered in roll sets sent to banks, while others appear to have been taken directly from mint bags sold under the radar? Could it be that the mint knew and chose silence to avoid scandal, or that these coins were struck during test runs never meant for circulation, accidentally or intentionally released? Experts remain divided, with prominent numismatists calling the 1988 P quarter one of the most enigmatic anomalies of the modern era, while others insist it's a case of mass hysteria fueled by internet legends and rare eBay finds. Yet every time one appears, raw or slabbed, it vanishes into private collections, never to be seen again. Coin forums light up with speculation, blurry images, and desperate pleas for authentication help, while whispers circulate about a major collector quietly amassing a hidden hoard of these coins, waiting for the right moment to sell them all at once and rewrite the pricing guides forever. And just when you think the story hits its peak, another twist arises. A retired mint employee anonymously contacts a coin journalist, claiming to have first-hand knowledge of a batch of experimental coins struck in 1988 using older dies from 1983 to test a new press system, some of which may have accidentally escaped destruction. No documents exist to confirm this, but the pattern of wear, doubling, and metal flow lines on a handful of verified examples seem to support the theory. Suddenly, the narrative grows darker and deeper, drawing in collectors who now comb through every 1988 quarter they come across, turning routine transactions into treasure hunts, and igniting a numismatic frenzy that shows no sign of slowing down. Even grading companies like PCGS and NGC have reportedly received submissions of 1988 P quarters with errors so baffling they had to be evaluated by specialized committees, coins with rotated dies, ghostly overlays of previous year's designs, and microscopic anomalies suggesting more than one striking die was used simultaneously. Each new certified piece adds fuel to the fire, commanding five-figure price tags and generating rumors of a singular specimen out there worth over $500,000, if it even still exists. Meanwhile, underground collector circles swap information in secret, fearing exposure or a market crash, and entire YouTube channels have emerged devoted solely to tracking, authenticating, and theorizing about this elusive coin. Some even claim the government may be quietly buying back known examples to suppress a scandal or control the market, an idea that sounds far-fetched until you consider how few of these coins remain in public view. Is this a coincidence, or part of a wider effort to erase the mistake from history? The tension mounts as each year passes and no official statement is ever made by the U.S. Mint, keeping the story alive, simmering with suspense. And through it all, average people keep finding 1988 P quarters with odd characteristics, smoother edges, lighter weight, strange doubling, and they turn to online communities for answers, sparking renewed interest and even amateur investigations. One man in Ohio claims he discovered one such coin while helping his daughter sort laundry money. He had it verified by two experts, both of whom offered him thousands on the spot, but he refused, convinced it was worth far more. Another collector in Texas alleges that he once owned a 1988 P quarter with reverse doubling so clear it could be seen without magnification, but it was stolen in a house burglary, never recovered, and he believes the thief had no idea what they took. Stories like these abound, and the line between fact and folklore becomes increasingly blurred, but the impact is undeniable. This quarter has sparked something primal in the hearts of collectors, the hope of finding treasure in the mundane, of turning loose change into legend. So what does all this mean for you? It means that right now, somewhere in your home, your car, your drawer, your pocket, there could be a coin, just another 1988 P quarter, or so it seems, that might be the missing piece in this great puzzle, the coin that confirms the theories, that rewrites the books, that shocks the market, that changes your life. The only question is, will you find it before someone else does? The hunt continues, the mystery deepens, and the legend grows, but the truth behind the 1988 P quarter may still be out there, waiting for the right pair of eyes, the right hands, the right moment. So keep looking, keep questioning, and above all, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, because the next twist in this extraordinary coin saga could break at any moment, and you'll want to be the first to know. Next, 1990 P quarter dollars, where today we unravel a mystery so deep, so astonishing, and so rooted in the hidden corridors of numismatic history that it might just change everything you thought you knew about pocket change, because what if a small, nearly invisible mistake on a seemingly ordinary 1990 P quarter dollar transformed it into one of the most valuable coins ever struck in the United States? A coin whose secrets remained buried for decades, only now beginning to surface through whispers from collectors, forgotten mint records, and jaw-dropping discoveries that have shaken the foundations of coin collecting to its core, and what if that coin was never meant to exist in the way it did, a product not of mere oversight but of a complex, tangled web of production anomalies, human error, bureaucratic confusion, and perhaps even deliberate cover-up. Starting in the chaotic production cycle of the Philadelphia Mint in 1990, a year riddled with transitional experimentation, die trials, and intense internal pressure to meet rising coinage demands while dealing with failing equipment and inconsistent quality control, and what if, in the middle of all this turmoil, a set of planchets not meant for $quarter production, possibly left over from a previous era or prepared for a completely different denomination, somehow found their way into the presses, resulting in a handful of quarters that looked normal at first glance but harbored microscopic oddities that would later stun experts, like ultra-thin planchets suggesting a wrong metal composition, ghostly partial cladding due to improper bonding, or even doubled features from misaligned hubs. And what if just one of these coins ended up in circulation, completely unnoticed for decades, dropped into a vending machine, buried in a backyard, or stashed in a dusty coffee can, only to be discovered years later by a wide-eyed teenager with a metal detector or a flea market enthusiast flipping through a pile of change, whose breath caught the moment they noticed the P mint mark slightly off-center, the eagle reverse showing faint doubling, or the surface of the coin exhibiting a strange, dull sheen unlike any other quarter they had seen. And what if that one coin became the focal point of a global hunt, sparking wild rumors in online collector forums, drawing in curious investors and professional graders alike, with theories ranging from unauthorized test strikes using experimental alloys to die clashes so severe they revealed design elements from completely different denominations? And what if government documents, requested through FOIA by persistent numismatists, revealed discrepancies in reported quarter production numbers for 1990, subtle hints that more quarters had been struck than officially recorded, opening the door to theories about off-the-books runs, rogue mint employees, or even intentional sabotage aimed at exposing internal dysfunctions? And what if an ex-mint worker, now retired and living in obscurity, came forward anonymously in a redacted letter claiming to have witnessed the creation of a batch of quarters using leftover copper-nickel-clad planchets from 1982 with outdated dies, a combination that was supposed to be scrapped but accidentally, or perhaps purposefully, used during a night shift rush? And what if this shocking confession lined up perfectly with metallurgical analysis conducted by a top numismatic lab which found one known 1990p quarter to have an anomalous nickel-copper ratio inconsistent with any officially issued quarter of that era, leading to an avalanche of media attention, escalating bidding wars at auction houses, and even FBI interest in tracking down the rest of the unaccounted coins? And what if collectors across the nation began frantically checking their coin jars, their childhood piggy banks, their change from gas stations and laundromats, desperate to find another example, with whispers emerging about a Texas man who supposedly found a second specimen but vanished before he could authenticate it, and a Florida estate sale where an elderly woman's coin collection included what some believe was a third specimen, later sold for an undisclosed sum to a private buyer in Switzerland, fueling conspiracy theories that the US government is trying to buy back and quietly destroy these error coins to prevent further embarrassment. And what if coin grading companies started to receive an unusual surge of 1990p quarter submissions, forcing them to develop stricter guidelines for authentication, and in the process uncovering even more bizarre anomalies such as off-center strikes, reverse die rotation, or even hybrid design features hinting at a mix-up with commemorative die sets that were never supposed to be used in regular minting? And what if auction prices began to skyrocket, with one verified example fetching over $250,000 and another rumored to have sold privately for well over $1 million? Drawing in not just seasoned collectors but celebrities, hedge fund managers, and tech moguls eager to possess what some are now calling the holy grail of modern quarters. And what if museums began lobbying to secure an example for public display, only to be outbid by private interests who wish to keep this coin in the shadows, away from prying eyes, perhaps due to its controversial origins, or the fact that its very existence raises uncomfortable questions about how many more such anomalies are out there, lost in circulation, waiting to be found, or worse, already melted down by the mint in secret recalls? And what if this isn't just about one coin but a larger pattern, a symptom of deeper problems within the US Mint's quality control and record-keeping systems during the late 20th century? And what if documents from internal audits start leaking, revealing that the 1990 production year had not one but several unexplained incidents, including a missing die set, a machine calibration failure that went unreported, and suspiciously high rates of return planchets for unknown reasons, adding layers of suspicion that something extraordinary happened that year, something hidden under layers of bureaucratic silence and accidental oversight, or maybe intentional deception. And what if the coin story continued to evolve with each new discovery, each new whisper of a found specimen, or each new anomaly uncovered during microscopic analysis, such as die scratches forming accidental patterns, striking pressure inconsistencies, or edge reading that doesn't match official specifications? And what if the deeper we dig, the more the lines blur between coincidence and conspiracy, between error and intention, until we're forced to confront the possibility that the 1990 quarter may have been part of a clandestine test program, a rogue project, or a failed experimental run never meant to see the light of day? And what if you, right now, sitting at home, watching this video, hold in your pocket a piece of this mystery, a key to unlocking one of the most captivating and valuable numismatic stories ever told, and all you have to do is look closer, think deeper, and never stop asking, what if this ordinary coin holds an extraordinary secret that could rewrite history, spark a treasure hunt across the globe, and place you at the center of a true modern legend? So don't forget to like, subscribe, and check your change, because the next great discovery might just be in your hands. Next, 1985, quarter dollars where what seems ordinary may secretly hold a staggering truth that defies all expectations. What if a seemingly common 1985 quarter dollar, a coin most people would dismiss as pocket change, was in fact one of the most valuable mistakes in American numismatic history, a small overlooked detail making it the ultimate hidden treasure of the modern era, a coin so rare, so mystifying, and so entangled in legends of government mishaps and lost dies that it leaves collectors and historians alike in breathless awe. And as we begin peeling back the layers of this riveting story, you might find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about coins, value, and the fragile human systems behind them, because the tale of the 1985 quarter isn't just about metal and mint marks, it's about obsession, secrecy, accidents, and the idea that one object, struck in an obscure moment by tired machinery on a busy day in the Denver Mint, could alter destinies, ignite treasure hunts, and become the centerpiece of an epic conspiracy of oversight and silence. For it was in the unassuming production year of 1985, a time when America was between economic storms and digital revolutions, that something almost imperceptible yet historically seismic may have occurred deep within the minting chambers, where stories have emerged of an anomalous die, possibly one intended for an earlier year, or worse, for a completely different denomination, somehow being mistakenly installed and used for a brief and unrecorded period, giving birth to a microscopic design flaw invisible to the untrained eye, yet unmistakable to seasoned collectors who swear they've seen traces of design doubling, unusual clad layering, or even misaligned strikes that defy the known specifications of that year's quarter production. And while official records remain silent or suspiciously vague, what followed was a ripple effect of whispers in collector circles, secretive sales at private auctions, and a growing mythology around the ghost quarter of 1985, said to be a specimen so unique and perfectly flawed that it transcends conventional grading and enters a realm of legendary status. And as we dive deeper into the archives of mint logs, private correspondence between numismatists, and hidden ledgers of prominent collectors, we uncover the twisted path of these coins. Some found in junk drawers, others emerging from estate sales only to vanish again after massive offers from shadowy buyers, with one tale even involving a coin dealer who turned down $500,000 because he believed the quarter he held had a historic anomaly tying it back to the infamous 1970s die cash mistakenly shipped to Denver, then buried in bureaucratic confusion. And yet another story claims a retired mint employee confessed on his deathbed that several hundred coins were destroyed after a quality control panic, but one may have slipped out through an overlooked test batch sent to the public, and the only proof lies in a grainy photo passed around like a sacred relic on collector forums, sparking endless debates and late-night phone calls among experts who argue over its authenticity with near-religious fervor. But the real kicker is the forensic metal analysis. Some claim proves that one 1985 quarter contained trace elements of a silver composition long discontinued, leading to wild speculation that an old blank planchet was used in error, or that a secret test run was conducted without documentation, raising questions about whether the coin's origin was a fluke of neglect or a deliberate trial the government never intended to acknowledge, and with every detail we uncover, misaligned strikes, ghosted letters, partial reading, planchet cracks, and even one account of a double denomination strike involving a nickel reverse imprint, the mystery only deepens, weaving in tantalizing clues that hint at a broader story of cover-ups and lost records, as if this coin is more than just metal but a key to a larger truth about how fragile and fallible the systems we trust really are, and just when we think we've reached the end of the mystery, another discovery emerges, like a collector in the Midwest who found a 1985 decorder with a strange bulge under Washington's jaw and tried to submit it to PCGS, only to have it returned ungraded with a vague note stating, "Unverifiable anomaly," sparking new theories about experimental metal bonds, unauthorized die modifications, or even sabotage, and while skeptics continue to roll their eyes, the undeniable fact remains, the market value for this coin, when such a specimen does surface, is astronomical, with verified whispers of sales eclipsing six figures and one rumored transaction in Tokyo involving a Japanese billionaire who reportedly flew a private authenticator across continents to verify the piece. And with all this swirling intrigue, one cannot help but feel that the story of the 1985 decorder is still unfolding, that somewhere in a forgotten jar or misfiled envelope lies the next chapter waiting to be unearthed, and perhaps it is you, watching now, who will find it, identify it, and become part of this breathtaking saga, where every scratch, every mark, every detail is a potential clue to one of the greatest numismatic enigmas ever told, so stay curious, stay vigilant. Because the greatest treasures often come in the plainest disguises, and the next 1985 decorder to rewrite history could be resting unnoticed in your very own pocket change drawer, and if this story has you hooked, amazed, and yearning for more incredible discoveries just like this one, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because the mystery only gets deeper from here.